Rising out of the depths of Daytona, the conquest for the 2012 ARCA Championship had begun.
Four wide as they come into the tri-oval. Gerhardt, he'll win again.
Trouble as they pass across the start-finish line.
Bobby Gerhardt climbs out for the 8th time, a champion in the ARCA Racing Series at Daytona.
Aspirations would inspire agility and drive empathy.
And the battle is 3 wide. It will be win number 75 for Frank Kimmel.
Culminating in incredible racing and an eccentric points battle.
Side by side, door to door, it's Buescher winning in Michigan.
We've got a great points battle building in the ARCA Racing Series.
The acquisition has come to a head here in Kansas, and when the green flag flies, no matter title contender or just a win seeker, the battle will rage on. Who will overcome in the Kansas Lottery 98.9? Who will become part of the ARCA Racing Series legacy? The ultimate closer is coming up on Speed.
Welcome to Championship Friday. It is the 60th anniversary season for the ARCA Racing Series, and what a way to culminate a spectacular season right here at Kansas Speedway. The Kansas Lottery 98.9 about to get underway. Under the lights, 39 cars all lined up, ready to get underway with this one. Your point leader, Chris Buescher. In his 18 starts, 4 times went to victory lane, has an 85-point lead over that man. Frank Kimmel, 9-time series champion. He has 2 wins on the season, but there's a third that could be in this point standing. Also with 2 wins, Brennan Poole, in his 18 starts, has gone to victory lane twice and 14 top 10s. A very cool day here in Kansas City, Kansas, and a cool night as well. 51 degrees. The wind has gone down just 7 miles per hour, but it's expected to get even cooler as the night goes on. Hello, everyone. Rick Allen and Phil Parsons with you for this, the final race of the 2012 season. We're about to find out who will end up being our champion in 2012. But the last time you saw us was Pocono. We want to get you caught up and on all of the racing action that took place since Pocono. We take a look at our Aaron's ARCA recap. Just after Pocono, the series headed to Berlin, and it was Chris Buescher in the 17 who thought this was a perfect time to take over the points lead and try to run away with it.
Then we go to the 1-mile Springfield, Illinois dirt track. Frank Kimmel gets career win number 76 and his second win on the season.
The points gap just 15 after Kimmel went to victory lane there. Then off to Madison. And once again, it was Chris Buescher trying to put an exclamation point on this championship season back into victory lane.
Then Tommy Hessert gets his second career win in Kenny Schrader's Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet at Salem, Indiana.
So through the 18 races of our 19-race season, Chris Buescher with an 85-point lead over Kimmel. Brennan Poole still mathematically in it, 175 points back, but an outside shot at this championship tonight. Let's go down trackside to Ray Dunlap, who caught up with Buescher just moments ago.
Still 10 days away from his 20th birthday. Tonight's a big night, Chris. I'm curious, how much thought have you put into what it would mean to get your first big championship?
Obviously put quite a bit of thought into it, but can't overthink this. We got a race left to run here, and it's the same thing we've been doing all year. It's working for us, and we got to keep it up.
He's completed every lap so far this season, hoping to do so again tonight.
Well, for Frank Kimmel, the 10th championship is one night away. Tonight's the night, Frank. 85 points the difference. I'm sure you and Jared ran the numbers. What are you thinking now before this race here in Kansas?
Well, we just got to go out and do our deal. Chris has had a great season all year, and he's run really well. And if he doesn't have any problems, he's going to win a championship. 85 is a pretty big lead. So our car's running really good, very strong. Qualified 6th. And, I was wide open for both laps in that qualified 6th. That's just frustrating. But, tracks are really fast. And, just got to see how things work out.
How much will we focus on the win? How much will we focus on where that white 17 is tonight?
You can't really worry about him. If something were to happen early and he's, having trouble and he's running back in the back, then you start realizing, well, I got to beat him by 16 or 17 spots or whatever it is. So then you start taking care of things. As it is, we just got to go out and race now.
Frank Kimmel's been awfully consistent, as has Buescher. This should come down to a battle amongst the veteran and the teenager. We wish you well, Frank.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim Trado. Now, normally when we come to a racetrack, I take a look at all of the history that takes place up to this point, and we've got a new repave here, Phil, so...
Throw it away. Throw it away. Absolutely means nothing.
History is gone.
It's all about speed. 12 miles an hour faster than the pole last year, this year.
A lot of speed at Kansas. You're going to see it right here on Speed. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is brought to you by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs. Talked about this being the 60th anniversary season for the ARCA Racing Series. Since that first race so many years ago, we have come a long way.
It's the most versatile touring series on earth. It's the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, celebrating 60 years of competition. From the early days when the family car helped fill the fields on dirt tracks across America, to the modern days where the stars and cars of ARCA are remarkably still entertaining thousands of race fans on some of those same magical dirt miles, providing a link to the past, all the while confidently steering toward a bright future. From a road course in New Jersey to a short track in Salem, from Daytona to the dirt, the ARCA Tour has become one of the very best training grounds for the big leagues. Well, the Tour has shaped great champions over the decades, from 6-time champ Iggy Katona to 9-time champ Frank Kimmel to Justin Allgaier. The series has also become the go-to tour for driver development, a stepping stone to NASCAR, exemplified by some very recognizable names in stock car racing, who utilize ARCA to polish their skills in time to take that next step. Our congratulations to all the pioneers who helped build the ARCA brand into one of the most respected and successful stock car tours in America. Certainly the most versatile. Thanks, and happy 60th anniversary, ARCA. We look forward to many more.
And we're going to look forward to many more right here on Speed. It was just announced earlier today that we have a multi-year contract with the ARCA Racing Series. They're going to continue to air right here on Speed. And what a phenomenal and diverse series this is.
Rick, I've been around this series my entire life. I grew up in Detroit. The series was based in Toledo, Ohio. Won in the series. My brother was a 2-time champion, and I'm telling you, if it not been for the ARCA Racing Series, my brother and I would not be here in racing. We'd not have been able to do the things we've been able to do. So it's very, very near and dear to my heart.
So many careers have started, and we want to take a look at our Team Messina Rookie Spotlight. A very tight battle between two drivers in this series. Brennan Poole and Alex Bowman fighting for the top spot. 4 points separate the two as we get ready for this final race.
And they take the top 15 finishes of each driver this year, so you can see how close it is right now. Through 18 races, only 4 points separate those guys, and they've both been to victory lane numerous times.
Alex Bowman starts on the pole tonight, and Brennan Poole is going to start just a couple spots back, whom also in the top 5. So a great rookie battle that continues here in the ARCA Racing Series. You saw all the drivers have been strapped into their cars getting ready for this one to get underway. They did have a test session here 2 weeks back. Then earlier today, a 2-hour practice session where they were on the track to get a feel for it. But can you ever get a feel for the speed that they're experiencing around this track?
It's amazing. We talked just momentarily that 12 miles an hour faster than the pole last year, a full 9 miles an hour faster than the track record. Again, this new high bank variable banking here is lend itself to a lot of speed. We saw it earlier in the Cup qualifying. We're going to see it nationwide qualifying tomorrow. A lot of speed here, and these guys better be on their game.
They will definitely have to be on their game. Let's get the engines fired. We go for the command.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome coach, player, and winner of 5 AFC championships, former Kansas City Chief, Mr. Walt Corey.
Drivers, start your engines.
Walt Corey, a legend in the Kansas City area, giving the command to fire the engines. They come to life. We're about to see the green flag in Kansas. Stay with us. Welcome back. Cars just beginning to roll off of pit road and on to this newly repaved 1.5-mile racetrack. The Kansas Lottery 98.9 about to get underway. Our Menards Pole Award won earlier today. by Alex Bowman. It's his 6th career pole and just his 21st start. All 6 of his poles have come this year. That's why he has been so good in the Messina rookie battle up to this point. So Alex Bowman gets your Menards Pole Award, presented by Ansel. Our starting lineup will roll across the top of the screen. And we've got 2 men down on pit road that are going to be covering the stories, Jim Trado and Ray Dunlap. And we're going to start off with Ray.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, I haven't been covering ARCA quite as long as Phil, but I have been around this series for more than 20 years. And what I think is great is to look at the contrast between the 2 drivers we're talking about tonight in the championship. I want to show you a picture of Frank Kimmel. This is how we know this guy as a 9-time champion. He's usually standing there with the trophy. He had 7 of them in a row from 2000 to 2007. This guy has been a stalwart in this series. With all of his wins in these championships, all of the young drivers look up to him and learn a lot from him. But to me, I think tonight's about the Rouleau brothers. Take a look at these youngsters. This is in the late 60s when the young Rouleau brothers were at Blue Island Raceway up in Illinois. And this family's come a long way. But the team has won 31 different races, and they've had a lot of great drivers behind the wheel of their race cars over the years. I'm in the Rouleau brothers pits right now, and there's a lot on their shoulders. They've never, ever been in this position to win a championship. Tonight could be a big night for all of these guys in pit stall number 1. Jim?
And Ray, I'm in the pit stall of our pole sitter, Alex Bowman, because he is a very fast car. He is part of the equation for these championship contenders. He was flat-footing around this racetrack in practice. He flat-footed in qualifying. He won his 6th Menards pole this year. More importantly, his pace may determine the pace of our championship contenders. This racetrack is cold. It's below 50 degrees. ARCA has given these teams a 3rd set of tires behind pit road with the unknown factor of how the tires will wear. What we do know is Bowman's fast, and that may make the strategy change a bit for both Buescher and for Kimmel early on. He's up front, and he plans to stay there to win yet another race here in his rookie season.
Thanks, Jim. We're going to ride along with a few different drivers. Phil, we've got a few cars that will give us some pretty good perspective of what's going on out there.
Yeah, we're going to ride along with Dustin Hopka. He's made 1 previous start this year at Elko, Minnesota. He finished 18th, and he will start his Sure Step Chevy from the 34th spot.
We've also got a camera riding along with Milka Duno. She's going to start 25th in her number 94. We'll see how she's able to do through the field tonight.
We're going to ride along with the 23 car of Spencer Gallagher. He is 7th in points right now in the Allegiant Air Chevy, and he will start from the 19th position.
Matt Lofton also carrying one of our cameras, a career best of 2nd at Elko earlier this year. That's his 2nd time that he's been 2nd in a race, so he wants to improve upon that tonight.
We're also going to ride along with our point leader, 19-year-old Chris Buescher in the Reliance Tool Ford. He needs to finish 15th no matter what Frank Kimmel does to win this championship, and will start from the 9th spot.
So he's got his work cut out for him, but we have 99 laps before it's going to be decided. And again, you talked about the 2 guys racing for this championship, Chris Buescher and Frank Kimmel.
Let's see if we can talk to Frank Kimmel just moments before he gets ready to start this race. Hey, Frank Kimmel, Phil Parsons up in the speed booth. You got a copy?
Gotcha, Phil.
Frank, we talk about speed, and this racetrack is so fast, 12 miles an hour faster than the pole last year. What do you think about all this speed?
Well, it should be interesting, Bill. These kids are, they all run really fast, and our car's really good also. So everybody up here in the front is going to be good. I think that hopefully we won't have any issues, but I think the problems will be when we start catching lap traffic, and I think you're going to see a lot of difference in closing rates and different speeds in the turns. So, you know, if everybody pays attention, watches what they're doing, we should be okay. But sometimes that doesn't work out, you know.
Frank, you haven't gone away. You've obviously been a contender each and every year, but you got back to victory lane this year a couple times. What would a 3rd win here in 2012 mean to you?
Really be a big deal. Our mile-and-a-half program's really picked up, and the guys, we make fun about my qualifying and everything. We finally got up here where I can see the first pace car, Bill, so we're pretty happy about that with qualifying. And whenever you beat these kids at these kind of racetracks, it makes you feel good. So we'll go after them hard as we can here and see how it works out later tonight.
All right, buddy. Good luck.
Appreciate it, buddy.
We talked about 85 points separating Frank Kimmel from Chris Buescher. How about the bonus points that they've received throughout the year? In qualifying, Frank said hadn't qualified very well. He can finally see the first pace car. He has not scored a point in qualifying this year.
And that's amazing. 55-point difference in qualifying bonuses, about even in lap leader bonuses. As you can see, he's 85 points behind total overall.
We did have issues in qualifying that took place just over an hour ago. Actually, it was pretty close to just happening, and it was the 66 of Nelson Canache who gets a little wild and into the wall. That slowed qualifying down for almost 15 minutes while they were working on that wall and making sure to clean up the debris off the racetrack.
Yeah, that's a great view of how fast these cars are going. They're probably running, you know, upwards of 170 miles an hour in the center of the corner.
And that wasn't the only problem that took place during qualifying earlier. Coming off of the apron, trying to get up to speed, lost control and up into the wall.
Cold tires, you know, situation with cold tires there, just didn't quite have them underneath them, down on the flat of the racetrack. You see pretty significant contact for the 73 car.
Yeah, Dale Shearer in that 73 smashes the front end of that race car. So again, now we're 2 by 2 getting ready for the green flag to fly on the final event of the 2012 season. 2 drivers right in the hunt. Chris Buescher, it's his championship to lose. All he has to do is stay in front of the 44 of Frank Kimmel. That's easier said than done, though. It speeds upwards of almost 200 miles an hour that these guys are going when they enter turns 3 and turn 1.
And the grip's going to stay there. I think these guys are talking about the grip not going away. It's not like they're going to slow down a couple seconds.
Temperature staying cool. 2 by 2. Coming out of turn number 4, Alex Bowman, after winning his 6th pole of the 2012 season, brings the field to the green flag. Kevin Swindell on his outside. Green flag in the air. We're underway from Kansas.
Pretty even start for our front row. Alex Bowman emerges with the lead. Good run through 1 and 2.
Tiptoeing their way through 1 and 2. Not sure exactly how far the groove will move up during this race, but during practice, not many ventured as high as we're seeing cars right now going through 3 and 4.
Yeah, you see Kevin Swindell, the 55 car, the Curb Records car, all the way up in the second groove. That's a good sign for the rest of these competitors.
Bad sign for everyone else, though, as Alex Bowman already has put a second between him and John West Talley, who's moved up into the second spot.
Good battle between Brendan Poole in the 25 car as well as Kevin Swindell in the 55. Oh, get a spinner!
Already the 52 of Chad Boat gets hit upside down as they slide down the backstretch. Chad Hockenbraugh also involved, as well as the 16 of Lofton. We saw Chad Boat slide sideways, and it looked as though another car got into the side of him, and that turned him upside down on the backstretch.
See, Chad Hockenbraugh ripped the quarter panel off of that 58 car. Chad comes in here in the top 5 in points. Not a contender for the championship, but certainly wants to solidify that spot up in the top 5.
Justin Lofton in the 16. Stopped on the racetrack, still sitting in that car.
Matt Lofton, 6th in points coming into this race.
Yeah, Matt, what a wild ride he had, but not nearly as wild as what took place with Chad Boat in the 52, upside down in that race car.
Yeah, Chad's only made a couple starts this year. He had a great 3rd place finish at Iowa earlier this year, and then came back at LOR with an 8th place finish. But man, what a ride.
Just got a little sideways coming off of turn number 2, and nowhere to go for the car behind him. Ran right up on the side of that race car, and up and over it went. See Chad getting the helmet off. Safety crew is attending to him.
We can see him looking around in the car. Just be a matter of moments, I'm sure, till Chad climbs out. Chad has an open wheel background, so a lot of midget racing, so you know they spend a lot of time up on their lid.
rolling around, but not normally in a 3,400-pound race car. As we see now, Chad climbing out of that car.
That's great. A great view right there to see Chad climbing out.
But a wild ride, as he will take one more ride here at the track to the Infield Care Center.
That's actually an ex-Hendrick Motorsports car that Chad's dad, Billy, purchased from Hendrick Motorsports. Billy's a former IndyCar winner, a multi-time winner, driving for A.J. Foyt.
Open wheel ranks. So again, the walk over to the ambulance will go to the Infield Care Center for Chad Boat. He's going to talk a little bit with Lofton. Those two will, I'm sure, discuss what just took place. It was Lofton that got into the side of that 52. And up and over he went. But just before we saw that, it looked as though Mason Mitchell in the 6 was slow on the racetrack, maybe saw the 52 sliding.
You see the 52 is around sideways. He tried to exit the corner high coming off turn number 2. Lost a little bit of rear grip. Got sideways in there. Here's the contact with the 16 of Matt Lofton.
Chad Hockenbraugh trying to stay out of that inside wall, and then a little contact late with Matt Lofton in the 16, tears the left rear quarter panel off.
You see Chad, he just wiggled a little bit, then got his right sides up where nobody had gone. And it was just the impact from Matt Lofton's car that turned that car over.
And that was right in the driver's side door. So great to see Chad Boat climb out of that car and walk away, as we also were able to take a look at Matt Lofton. Incredible at the speeds that these cars are traveling. Chad Boat, Matt Lofton both able to walk away from their cars and to the ambulance, where they will head to the infield care center, get checked out. So the first caution comes out on lap number 2. Involved in this, Matt Lofton, Chad Boat, and Chad Hockenbraugh. Probably not the start that Chris Buescher, running for a championship, wanted to see. A very quick caution. That means another 2x2 restart. Sunday NASCAR Race Day delivers the ultimate pre-race coverage from Kansas before race 6 of the chase, and get exclusive access with Michael Waltrip Racing as Clint Bowyer battles to maintain momentum in the title fight. Don't miss NASCAR Race Day, fueled by Sunoco. That's Sunday, 11 Eastern, live on Speed. Under our first caution here in the Kansas Lottery, 98.9, Chad Boat in the 52, already upside down on the top of that race car, but back on the 4 wheels when he came down. Take another look at what happened.
This is from Matt Lofton's onboard. You see Chad get a little bit sideways. Matt was out of the throttle, I'm sure, on the brakes, but nothing he could do when Chad turned around right in front of him.
So 3 cars involved in this one. The 58, the 16, and that 30 or 52.
Yeah, again, the 58, Chad Hockenbraugh, top 5 in points coming in here. Matt Lofton just outside the top 5 in 6th.
And more on the 58 of Chad Hockenbraugh, which is Trado.
And Philly's just 20 points ahead of 6th in the point standings. This team worked extremely hard on this brand new car they built in-house. They took it to Earnhardt Technologies. Dave Charpentier is on the pit box working with his team, with crew chief Kevin Reed. Obviously, this is not the way they wanted to finish this run, but the chassis is new, the body's new. The team is ready to bring that car back down pit road. Discussion on if they want to put tires on now, but Hockenbraugh has a long way to run to maintain that 5th place in the point standings here at Kansas.
Well, unfortunately for the guy running 6th, that was the other car involved, Matt Lofton. So he's got a little bit of a cushion anyway, because he know Matt has some significant damage.
So the 58 comes to pit road. They'll do a little tire work on that one. Crowd bundled up here at Kansas Speedway. Just off of turn number 2, pretty impressive watching area. That's the Hollywood Casino that was just finished, and a few people enjoying the race from the balcony of that area. Right now it's Alex Bowman in front of John West-Townley, Brennan Poole, Kevin Swindell, and Brennan Newberry. They're lined back up behind that 22 of Bowman, getting ready to go back to green flag racing. This will be lap number 8. We just completed our first caution, and green flag goes back in the air. We're back underway.
Good restart once again for Alex Bowman. That car is good on the starts.
Ray Kimmel, second in the championship points. Right now running in the 6th spot. And the bad thing is, running 8th is Chris Buescher right now, the guy who's leading the points. 15 positions would have to separate the 2.
Yeah, I think Frank said it best. He has to go out and run his race, try to get up there, try to get the lead, try to lead the most laps and get that thing to victory lane. And then whatever happens to Chris happens to Chris. If Chris is able to finish in the top 15, nothing Frank could have done about it.
Frank Kimmel at the beginning of the year moves over to Thor Sport Racing and has mounted a very impressive challenge for the championship here in 2012. Got back to victory lane, has 76 wins now in his career with his 9 championships.
Good run early on for Brennan Newberry in the 92. Had a great top 5 finish at Michigan earlier this year. hoping to do the same here. Talked to his dad down in the garage area earlier, and they were so excited about having that good run in Michigan, just trying to do the same thing here.
Beginning of the race, as they were side by side for the start, we saw some people venturing up into that second groove. Now they're locking themselves down on the line right at the apron to make sure that they've got the most grip.
Yeah, let's just log some laps here. We only ran a lap and a half, and then we had an incident. The caution flag came out. So let's just try to put some laps in the book, make sure our car's underneath this, make sure it's going to be underneath this for the long haul, as we see Kevin Swindell move to the inside of Brendan Poole in a battle for third.
Swindell working that yellow line as Brendan Poole works way up the racetrack, higher than we've seen any cars run yet tonight.
Looked like there was some grip up there, too. Remember, this is progressive banking, Rick. 17 degrees at the bottom, 20 degrees at the top. I think there will be some speed up there when we get enough rubber down to have some grip.
And I think a lot of the Nationwide guys and Cup guys are watching this race, trying to see if that groove does move up so that they'll know what they're going to have on Saturday and Sunday.
They're hoping it's going to move up.
Right now we're seeing a little bit of movement. We heard Frank Kimmel talking about coming up on the slower lap traffic like they're doing right now, having to move out of that comfort zone, that groove down at the bottom of the racetrack at speed, and we're seeing it right now. We're seeing them already have to work that second line at speed.
Hey, Brendan Newberry now move up inside of Brendan Poole in a battle for the fourth position.
Brendan Poole still holding on that second line, trying to
he's getting loose.
Very close call as they come up on the slower lap traffic. So again, Brendan Poole able to stay out in front of that 92. Brendan Newberry. Jim Trado.
I'm at the Care Center. Good news, Chad Boda's out of it, but man, what a crazy run there in the opening laps. Chad, what happened in that blue 52?
I just got loose on the outside of the 17. You know, I think the air of his car just took the air off mine, and around we went. So hate it for all my guys. Hate it that I took out Matt. Definitely not the night we wanted.
The thoughts of Chad Boda in the select start here. Matt is also running for a championship, 6th in points coming into this. Matt Lofton, what'd you see out the windshield? Had to be pretty spectacular. What'd you see?
Well, looked like the 52 got loose up there on coming off of 2, and when he got sideways, he was just blocking up both lanes. We were on the outside of a car there, just wasn't nowhere to go. Took a pretty good shot there in the door. I'm just glad he's okay. Really hate it for the Strutmasters.com guys tonight. I mean, we had a heck of a Chevrolet. Really felt good about the race. We missed it in qualifying a little bit, but I mean, that's what happens when you put yourself, you know, in that spot back there in the pack. But I've been really disappointed with these plate races that we've had in the ARCA deal this year. It's, you know, it makes it really difficult, you know, for the teams and the drivers. We got to come and we got to run these racetracks wide open. We're not going any slower. It makes the cars really difficult to drive. So when something like that happens, you just don't have a lot of control. You know, for his sake and my sake, just not a whole lot we can do in those situations.
Glad to see you're okay. Thanks, Matt.
And so once again, it's Alex Bowman out in front of the field. Bowman just became the only driver this season to lead over 500 laps.
Yeah, an outstanding season for Alex Bowman. Remember, he ran a few starts last year, won his very first 2 starts ever in the series. Now he's a 5-time winner.
There's Bowman again, putting a few cars a lap down now, as you saw a little bit of wobble out of the 95 of Michael Levine. But Alex Bowman, 6th pole earlier today, has led over 500 laps this season. His closest competitor in the Messina rookie fight is Brendan Poole. Brendan Poole currently 2nd in laps led as well, just under 500 to 472 laps led. So those two have been very impressive.
Yeah, and you touched on it earlier. What a great proving ground here for young drivers as well as veterans like Frank Kimmel coming out here and getting it done.
Right now, Alex Bowman is getting it done in front of the field. He's led all 17 laps. Welcome back. The gap between 1 and 2 has closed down to 0.4 of a second, separating Alex Bowman and John West Townley. Bowman in the 22, John West Townley in the 35. So they have closed the ground on Alex Bowman, who's been dominant. But we're seeing them go by these slower lap cars at an incredible rate. Almost 30 miles an hour faster, it looks like.
That's what it looks like. But these guys have done a nice job so far avoiding the slower cars. But John West Townley was almost 2 seconds behind not that long ago. He's used a little bit of traffic and a fast race car to catch up to Alex Bowman.
Joining us now in the booth, we have Justin Allgaier, the 2008 ARCA Racing Series champion. And we talk about a championship battle going on right now between two drivers. Frank Kimmel was 85 points back coming in to this final race behind Chris Buescher. Most people would think there's no way that Frank Kimmel could win this championship. And at the same time in 2008, one of the wildest things happened. Scott Speed, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. battling for a championship ahead of you in points, took each other out.
I think we were 115 out going into that day. And when they have to tell you you're mathematically capable to win, it's usually not good. And I know how Frank feels today, but you know, anything can happen. That's the one thing about our sport. Anything can happen, and especially, you know, as you just mentioned, passing some of these lap cars at such a high rate of speed. If they make one mistake and Chris Buescher happens to be going outside of them, this could really upset the points.
You know, Justin, we talked just before you joined us here, talked about that you guys will be watching with interest to see if that groove widens out any.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously the only difference for us is the different brands of rubber, the Hoosier tires here in the ARCA Series and the Goodyears in the Nationwide Series. But we've seen over the last couple of days how the entry has really widened out. But when the ARCA Racing Series came here a couple of weeks ago to do a tire test, it was green, and they were really having some troubles with trying to come up with a tire that was going to last. Now they've done that. They've done a great job and have a great tire, and we're seeing some really good racing. But unfortunately, anytime you have a new surface, it's gonna create a gap between the guys that are going to run up front and guys that are going to be a little bit off the pace. So.
And right now we've seen a pretty good improvement for John West Townley, inside of 0.3 of a second now between Alex Bowman and John West Townley. And it looks as though as they're going by some of these slower lap cars, they're moving into that second groove, but able to maintain their speed.
Yeah, it looks like the outside has come in really well, especially you know, having to pass those guys on the outside. It really doesn't seem like the lap times have slowed down that much, which normally you would.
So again, trying to hug that white line. Alex Bowman in the 22 out in front of John West Townley. Then it's Kevin Swindell, Brennan Poole, and Brendan Newberry that are your top 5.
This is John West's first start. Heavy traffic there for Kevin Swindell and Brendan Poole, as well as Brendan Newberry.
Coming up on the slower driver, Robert Bujozo.
There's Bobby Gerhart. Bobby's going a lap down. Battle for the lead here.
Right in front of these two. That was the 66 of Nelson Canache, who we showed in qualifying earlier, slamming into the wall. So a backup car for him.
Yeah, he had to go to the back of the pack. He had a yellow primary car, and now he has one of the other Venturini white cars as his backup.
That's never a fun feeling when you know the track obviously has a lot of grip, but if you miss the line by a couple of inches, it's catastrophic. And as we saw what Nelson had in qualifying, now he's got to get on this racetrack. He's already disappointed in himself or in the car that oh, we got a battle here. Looks like John West is going to the inside. We'll see how the outside is going to prevail right here.
How about this battle for the lead? On the outside, Alex Bowman trying to hang on. John West Townley on the inside as they come into the tri-oval.
So good so far. They're down to 3 and 4. See if we can do it again at 1 and 2. Ooh, caution's on the racetrack.
Caution comes out. And it looks as though John West Townley had the advantage when they crossed the stripe. We'll have to see what the ARCA Racing officials say. They're telling me it was debris on the racetrack bringing out this caution right as a great battle was building between the 22 and the 35.
Be a great opportunity for these guys to come out pit road and take a look at these tires and see how these tires held up here for the first 30 laps.
Well, the reports that I got from the guys when they practiced, because obviously we were monitoring their stuff as well, was that the tires were wearing very well. Same as all the series that are running here this weekend. But, you know, once they get some heat in them, you don't really know what race conditions are going to be like. And also they're rubbering in that outside groove. So you may see, you know, maybe see some damage to these tires because of that. So they're going to definitely want to come down and you know, put some tires on and see if they're not good, see what adjustments they can make to try to move forward later.
So John West Townley has that 35 out in front of Alex Bowman, and we'll see how many decide. I'm guessing everyone in the field is going to try to come onto pit road to take a look at those tires, fill up with fuel. The Aaron's lucky dog goes to Nelson Canache.
I just saw him get lapped just a moment ago, and this is the first laps that John West Townley's ever led in the ARCA Racing Series, and his first start since he finished 3rd at Daytona back in 2010.
So the field pulling in behind the pace car as they work their way around this 1.5 mile track. The second caution coming out, this one debris on the racetrack, will bunch the field back up once again. In the ARCA Racing Series, we have 15 on the lead lap. The lap down cars can start on the inside or to the left of the race leader on the restart. So we could have some 2 wide restarts once again, as we have quite a few cars at least a lap down. Like I mentioned, 15 cars currently on the lead lap. That'll be 16 when Nelson Canache gets his lap back, led by John West Townley. So Townley will bring the field onto pit road, right on his back bumper, the 22 of Alex Bowman. Let's go down to pit road and Jim Trado.
And Alex Bowman's coming down pit road. He's in the second spot. The first car we'll see is the 55 of Kevin Swindell. This is the same race car he raced with at Chicago, but he said to me an hour before the race, this is not the same race car that I raced there. I've had some issues. He just reported now he's got a vibration throughout the car in this 55. Now Alex Bowman in the 22, his crew chief is Paul Andrews, a Winston Cup championship crew chief. He actually asked his driver, are you punishing the right front? We saw some smoke earlier. Bowman said, I'm trying to punish the right front. They're going to change 4 Hoosier tires on the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital Dodge and send them back out with a can of Sunoco fuel. Ray?
The Zaxby's Toyota is in. They're going to put 4 tires on for John West Townley. They will get his service done, pull off a cover off of the windshield. He will be the first one off pit road, followed by the 22 of Bowman. I'm in pit stall number 1 by Chris Buescher. Buescher is going to roll out. Looks like they'll gain a couple of spots. He came into the pits running 10th.
And again, he has his sights set on the 44 of Frank Kimmel.
Well, you can see him. He's right there in front of him.
Wants to stay within shouting distance of that race car, knowing that the championship on the line. Coming off the pit road just behind that 44. So the championship battle continues, and the race for the final win of the season continues between Townley and Bowman. Immediately following Sunday's Cup Series race from Kansas, turn to Speed for comprehensive post-race coverage on NASCAR Victory Lane. JR, Kenny Wallace, and Larry Mack celebrate with the winner. Then they're going to break down the biggest moments from round 6 of the chase. NASCAR Victory Lane immediately following the race right here on Speed. So the service has been done to the race cars back out on the racetrack. And Ray, what have they been talking about on pit road about these tires?
Well, we've got them off now, Rick, so everybody wanted to take a look. Right here I can show you. This is the right rear for Chris Buescher. See, just a little bit of graining. No big deal. Rears are fine. Left sides are great. But let me show you the right front. This is the inside of the tire on the number 17. You can see getting a little bit of tearing right here. And what this is not a camber issue, I don't believe. I think it's a heat cycle thing. These tires really hold a lot of heat, and they've got a little bit of graining going on here. Started to see some cords on the inside of the right front.
That's after about 30 laps on the racetrack.
That almost looks like it was a tire rub there, maybe a sway bar arm or a ball joint or something.
It really did, because it looked grooved instead of just a separation like normal. But either way, I mean, they've obviously got to be looking at that going, okay, you know, we probably got a little bit too much camber in the car. Camber helps your car turn, but unfortunately you pay the penalty for it. So they're going to be monitoring that. They can't afford for that right front tire to go down.
No.
They may say, Chris, you need to back off a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at the big picture. He has a championship in front of him. Frank Kimmel is in front of him right now, though, on the racetrack. John West Townley, when we were under green, was able to just sneak by Alex Bowman to take over the lead, and then on pit road, won the race off of pit road there. Green flag back in the air. We're back underway.
Always a challenging time for these leaders here to get around the lap cars the way ARCA does the restarts like we used to in NASCAR. But the front 4 or 5 by easily.
Working their way through 1 and 2 and down the backstretch. So John West Townley in front of the field for the first time now. Alex Bowman had dominated the start of this race. We'll see if Alex Bowman has anything for John West Townley now that they're in clean racetrack area.
Great side-by-side battle for third. Kevin Swindell, the 55, and then Brendan Poole. Brendan Poole grabs that spot.
Brendan Poole has it. Kevin Swindell just behind him. You see the 44 of Kimmel trying to make the move as well.
How about Alex Bowman now moves to the inside of Townley.
Side by side down the backstretch. Going into turn 3. Bowman takes the lead back away from John West Townley.
That 22 car has been strong on new fresh tires, and it looks like you know, they may have made an adjustment on it to make it a little bit better on the long run, but they've just been strong all race, and I think that John West's car is obviously going to come to him as the laps go on. But you know, when you put tires on new pavement like this, it doesn't always have more grip like what you think it should. Sometimes it takes a couple of laps to get the tires to come in and be able to be really comfortable. So it's definitely some good battling right here between between Buescher and Kevin Swindell.
We saw all the Cup cars scuff their tires for qualifying. I think every single one of them did.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to put a cycle, at least get a heat cycle on them so that they tend to get a little bit harder, which makes no sense that they have more grip when they're a little bit harder, but they do.
Now 25, yeah, Brennan Poole coming up on that 35 of John West Townley. So after Bowman was able to check out on John West Townley, now Brennan Poole is trying to get by that 35.
Billy Venturini up on top of the pit box. We're hearing for the last time for that 25 of Brennan Poole. He will move up into the front office and concentrate on his general manager duties, which he was doing anyway.
Exactly.
But last time on top of the pit box for Billy.
Now, did you think Big Bill made that call? Big Bill Venturini saying it's time for you to move over to the general manager role?
I don't know. I mean, Billy's got a pretty good head on his shoulders, so he may realize, we always see multiple entries by the Venturinis. Right now, they're running second, third, and back in sixth with Kevin Swindell, as well as Nelson Canache. So they always have multiple entries, and it's very, very tough to manage that many teams.
One of the things I know in talking to Billy a little bit is, when he's crew chiefing for a car, he's obviously thinking about that car and how to make it go faster. But when you have 4 cars or 5 cars in the field, you're still thinking about all those other cars, and I feel like he feels that if you put somebody that's specifically on each car, he'll have better results. But he's done a great job. I mean, his results have been good, and anytime he's on the box, they've obviously run well.
Chris Buescher just getting by that 55 of Kevin Swindell. What are they talking about with that car down there, Jim?
Well, guys, he's actually had a vibration that's not just corrected, and I think when he came down pit road, they made an air pressure adjustment on the 55, but I did notice on second look, Kevin Swindell had a right rear tire just starting to let loose around the bead, about 1 inch on the tread, actually. And in talking to Hoosier folks a while back in Michigan, that's expected when the temperature exceeds what the tire can manage. Those little chunks will come out. Same thing for the 22 of Alex Bowman. And guys, he was actually tight after getting, in the early laps he was free. Alex Bowman was tightening up before that caution. Could that be a reason why? With the chunking he had, about every 3 inches he had a chunk missing, about 1 inch in on the right rear.
That's what a lot of the crew chiefs were telling me down in the garage area, that if your car has a tendency to be a little bit on the free side, then you would see an issue maybe with the right rear tire. Conversely, if you were a little bit on the tight side, then you see an issue with the right front tire.
In our practice day in the Nationwide Series, we were a little bit on the free side, and we saw some wear to the right rear tire. No damage, but definitely a lot of wear.
As we hear you talking, we see the Allgaier car on the racetrack now.
It's good to see the familiar blue colors, that's for sure.
Doing a great job, too. Ricky right now is running up in the top 10th spot here. First start here on a speedway. It's his second start this year.
Catch your breath moment. Just moments ago.
Ooh.
You didn't want to see that, did you?
No, unfortunately. But the good news is there was no real damage, and everybody went on, so that's good. But no, Ricky's done a great job. He's had to sit out for the last couple years. Had a neck injury that the doctors basically told him, you cannot get in a race car. It will kill you. And he was a very, very accomplished open wheel racer, midgets and sprint cars and Silver Crown cars, and got the opportunity to come here and is doing a great job. He ran earlier this year for Andy Hillenberg at Berlin, did a good job, and now first start on a super speedway, and I think he's enjoying it. That's for sure.
Alex Bowman working to the inside of the 95 of Michael Levine. Again, another one of the slower lap cars. Working around, and you saw how quickly he was able to get by that car.
Yeah, Michael actually had an incident in practice. That's a backup car for him. The battle for second continues. Brennan Poole has that second spot right now, and team car John West Townley moves right up on his rear bumper.
As a car owner, you do not want to see that. I can promise you.
Running this close together, taking the air off the spoiler in the front car.
And these guys realize that they're teammates, but also, John West Townley this is his only start this season. He's here to win that race.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter who his teammates are.
Absolutely. And one of the things, too, when you have a program like what Billy's done, you don't necessarily have guys that race with each other every week. So to them, most of the time, it's probably just a number more than it is a teammate. And so, I know they've done a good job of trying to get their team guys to work with each other. But when you're coming in and out like some of these drivers do, you definitely are going for wins, and I know that's the only thought right now.
John West Townley continues to chase Brennan Poole around the track as everyone is chasing the 22 of Alex Bowman back out front as we've passed the halfway, or coming up on the halfway point. 99 laps in this one, 49 complete.
coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed. The world leader in hand protection. 2.1 second lead for Alex Bowman over Brennan Poole, running in the second spot right now as we pass the halfway point. 46 laps remain in this one. Just 2 cautions. The first caution came out early for a pretty spectacular wipeout.
Heavy traffic right there for our second and third place cars. See Brennan Poole, the 25. John West Townley, the 35. They were 3 wide for a moment over in turn number 1.
Jared Marks in that 12, just in the inside line. They continue to race for position. Townley and Swindell just behind them. Poole and Townley running for that second spot. Poole has it. Townley trying to take it back away.
These guys have been battling ever since that restart. You know, Townley got the lead on the pit stop cycle and then faded a little bit, but now he's battling right back with Brennan there.
A little bit longer run, maybe good for that 35 car.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if they had scuffs or stickers, but obviously whatever it was, didn't quite agree with it early, but taken back off now. And we were just noting the lap times. It's funny to watch as these guys are navigating traffic, because we've seen anywhere from a 30 flat all the way right now.
Watch this now. Watch this.
This is going to get interesting. As they have to check up for the slower lap traffic. John West Townley makes the pass. He takes the spot away from Brennan Poole.
Got lap cars side by side right in front of them. See Brennan Poole tiptoeing his way around some of these lap cars.
That's a tough situation, because obviously these guys are racing for spots, maybe not on the lead lap, but they're still racing really hard, and you're catching them at such a high rate of speed. You expect them to get out of the way, but that's not always the case, because they have obviously got their battles that they're running for.
And we've talked about the big picture racing. Alex Bowman, Brennan Poole racing for the Messina Rookie of the Year award. And right now, Bowman out in front has been dominant. And Poole running in that 3rd spot now. Talk about the championship continuing. Kimmel has moved up into the 5th spot. Brendan Newberry just behind him in the 92.
Yeah, Chris Buescher has dropped a couple spots. He's back to the 9th position right now. Again, very comfortably in 9th.
And we talked about the positions that Kimmel would have to be in for him to win this championship. He would have to beat Chris Buescher by 16 spots now, because Frank Kimmel can't lead the most laps and get those 5 bonus points. Kimmel hasn't been able to get up front and lead a lap yet. So right now, the two are separated by 17 spots, but Kimmel could potentially get up and lead a lap.
Yeah, we still have 29 cars left on the racetrack, so that means it's doable. The math will work.
And Frank's doing everything he's going to have to do to try and make sure that, you know, he's obviously going to want to win the race, but he's going to have...
Hard into the wall. That's Ergot in the 36. We were just talking about there's contact made, potentially damaging those tires, and now we're seeing that car into the wall, bringing out the 3rd caution.
Yeah, we saw Ricky get into it with the 68 of Will Kimmel, so there may have been a bit of a tire rub developing on that 36 car, but pretty hard hit.
Also seen smoke out of the 2. Dustin Hapko.
Looks as almost maybe that's coming out the exhaust. I don't know if he blew an engine and Ricky got into the oil and went up and hit the wall.
Another possibility.
Hopefully we can get a replay here and see what happened, but it's a shame for Ricky. He was having a great race, well inside the top 10, so hate it for those guys.
Definitely an engine issue. You see the smoke coming out of the tailpipes.
You would hope that the spotter would be saying get down on the apron. So if you are putting fluid down, it's not in the racing grooves. We see Ricky making the hard left turn into the garage. There it is once again. Yeah, something breaking.
That right front tire looks like went down as that car got to the turn, and
that's a long way to go, unfortunately, because you're running on the bottom of the track because of the new pavement. You know, sometimes here at Kansas you used to be able to get up right against that wall and run the top, but because of the pavement change, everybody's on the bottom. So when you blow it right front, you got a long distance to go to get that outside wall. So not the way that they wanted their day to end, for sure.
As a driver, you think the thing turns dead right, because you try to go down in a corner, try to turn left, you turn the wheel all you want to the left, and it's going well to the right.
Lucky dog. Aaron's lucky dog goes to Jared Marks. So Jared will get a lap back. He will be on the lead lap. That will put him into the 14th spot. There will be 14 on the lead lap.
Jared's done a nice job this year. Just turned 18 and finished in the top 10 in his first super speedway race after he turned 18.
Alex Bowman, the first car on pit road, followed by John West Townley and Brennan Poole. Kevin Swindell and Frank Kimmel, your top 5, all making the way onto pit road now. Let's go down to Jim Trado.
And the 55 of Kevin Swindell will be one of the cars pitting. He got back to 4th before the caution. The Curb Records Chevrolet pulls in now. He said that the car has been doing really well, and actually asked his crew chief, Marty Lindley, just a moment ago on the Toyota Camry, but what are you going to do to change the air pressure? He said nothing, just 4 tires, 1 can of Sunoco fuel on the 55. So again, that's coming to him here late in the going. Now the race leader, Alex Bowman, said he's a little bit tight in turns 1 and 2 in the 22 machine, but he also just said, under caution, I think my right front is going down. Sort of an opportunistic time for the 22 of Bowman to come to pit road for Ford French Hoosiers. Right?
Star Colt Ford is on the hood of the 25 for Brennan Poole. They put 4 tires on, put some Sunoco fuel in it. For John West Townley, he said his car is very good, just a little bit tight on entry. So they made an air pressure on the right sides for him. He is down and away. Also, Chris Buescher said his car is very, very good, just riding around right now. Looks like Buescher is going to lose a few spots, though, as they got fuel and tires.
Good pit work by that 25 bunch, Billy Venturini's bunch.
Great job. Should he really step down? I think he might want to stay on the pit box. They did a great job. We'll be back for the restart here at Kansas. Welcome back to Kansas Speedway. The ARCA Racing Series lost a true competitor in the sense of from Hoosier Racing. Bob Newton lost his life just a little over a week ago and has been instrumental with the ARCA Racing Series for so long.
Yeah, Bob built his first set of racing tires back in 1957. He's been providing racing tires for the ARCA Racing Series since the 60s, and he's been the exclusive supplier since 1995. And I know, Justin, that Bob Newton and Hoosier Tire Company is near and dear to your heart.
Absolutely. My dad owns Hoosier Tire Midwest. They service all of the Hoosier tires in the Midwest, and Bob obviously was somebody that knew what he wanted to do and went and accomplished it and built great racing tires, and was fortunate enough to run on them for many years here in the ARCA Series. But pretty much everything that I've run growing up, had Hoosiers on it, probably by design of my dad's, for the simple fact that he sold Hoosiers, so he wanted to make sure that I was on them. Yeah. But Bob will be missed, and I know that he's not only impacted the guys that ran on his tires, but even guys that didn't. I mean, he's impacted the sport as a whole, and so I know he'll be missed from all the competitors, but also everybody at Hoosier Racing Tire. I know that things are going on as normal, but definitely with the hole in the heart. Yep.
Let's go back down to pit road. Jim Trano.
Just an update, guys. This is the right front tire on Alex Bowman's number 22 Dodge. Just a little bit of wear here on the inside edge. This is the right rear tire, much better than the last set we saw, but didn't show you, but it was a lot more frequent around this bead. What he did have, a flat left rear tire. This circle encompasses the puncture. That tire was dead flat when it came off the car. They could hear the very last few pounds wheezing out of it as they pulled it over pit wall.
What a huge break for Alex Bowman. Yeah. And again, that's about 25 laps on those tires, so we've got 37 laps to go, so I think that we may be looking at possibly another pit stop later on.
What else happened on pit road, Ray?
Well, I just wanted to echo those same thoughts. This is the 25's tire, and as you see, just a couple of tiny little chunks, but nothing near what we saw earlier. A few marks, but overall, the wear pattern's been pretty good. The tire wear got much, much better. Now, what the crew chiefs are saying down here to Hoosier and relaying the information to the ARCA Racing officials is, please give us one more caution with about 20 to go. That way we can put on tires and not worry about it at all, be ready to go and have a great race to the finish.
So winning the race off of pit road was Grant Enfinger. We think he may have just done a 2-tire stop in that 09 to get the position on John West Townley. Brennan Poole running in the 3rd spot. Kimmel is 4th now. Brendan Newberry in the top 5.
One of the things here we've seen is because they're running the outer groove a little bit here, that's why we're seeing a lot of tire wear on the right. The lefts have been in the rubber the whole time, so more than likely they're not wearing those too high. One of the problems that you see, though, with the reason why they come apart like that is that they were talking about the heat. When you talk about that, you're talking about a temperature of probably 300 degrees plus. So definitely putting a lot of heat in them, but there's no rubber out there. You're sliding that tire, and it's generating heat, and unfortunately, you're seeing the blisters because of it.
Remember, we had 2 days of cup testing here, Wednesday and Thursday, and then all the practice today. And everybody on the bottom of the racetrack, so it's very seasoned down on the bottom. Outside groove, not so much.
So again, the lap down cars on the inside lane. On the outside, it's Grant Enfinger in the 09 leading the field back to the green flag. Looking early. trying to get by that 35 is Brendan Newberry in the 25 as they go into 1 and 2.
Brendan Poole in the 25. Poole. Going to be interesting to see how quickly the 22 of Alex Bowman can make his way back up towards the front. He restarted back in the 9th spot.
We talked about the guys on the inside, and you're seeing the front 3 or 4 get out and away. The guys behind that really struggled to get around them to turn 1 and 2. And we've talked about the outside group, but you don't really want to restart there. Even though you know it'll work when you're racing, you don't want to restart there, especially on new tires.
Frank Kimmel in the 44 in front of Chris Buescher. Kimmel running 4th, Buescher back in the 9th spot. Now again, the championship on the line. Just 34 laps of racing to go in the 2012 season.
Yeah, Alex Bowman was able to get by Buescher on that first lap after the restart.
You know, Frank really hasn't been out there and out in front, you know, leading this race, but he's done a good job of making his car better. He's slowly but steadily staying right there up in the top 3 or 4. Looks like they've made some adjustments that have made him, you know, stay right there with the leaders. So, you know, he's going for broke on this. He knows he's got to get up there and lead some laps and try and win this race, and they're doing a great job of it right now.
And the ARCA point system is different than the NASCAR point system in the fact there is not a big premium point-wise for winning. They just get 5 points more for winning than they do for finishing second.
For leading a lap. Now let's go to pit road. Ray Dunlap.
Well, to give you an update on that Ansel race car, Frank Kimmel has been saying his car's a little bit tight in the middle and slightly tight off. So his crew chief, Jared Prince, made a track bar adjustment that time. Also, a little bit of an air pressure. They just don't want to go too far on the air pressure for sure. But I talked with Frank Kimmel in the garage a lot this weekend. He said he's very, very excited about the direction that this team has gone. They're very close to putting their deal together for another run at a championship again in 2013.
We see Brendan Poole has made the pass on John West Townley, so Poole has taken over second. Enfinger still out in front, has about a 7/10 of a second lead over Poole now. Kimmel holding on to that 4th spot, but closing the gap on the 35 now.
You know, this is the only the second mile-and-a-half race that these ARCA Racing Series competitors will run on, and Frank Kimmel finished 3rd at our only other mile-and-a-half in Chicago, the one that Kevin Swindell won.
You know, we're looking here. Alex Bowman has done a great job of navigating back through. Seems like once the guys get out front, they kind of stay there. You know, clean air is huge. But it looks as if he's able to kind of move his way through the pack. So it tells me that 22 car is really, really strong. I mean, we've obviously seen him out front. But, you know, he's able to pass guys, which is huge, especially when you have a one-grid racetrack like this.
Alex Bowman has shown that he is definitely a force to be reckoned with. 3 wins already on the year.
That lap over 180 miles an hour. He was the quickest car on the racetrack.
Got a crash on the front straightaway here. It looks as John West Townley.
35 of John West Townley in the wall, coming up to the start-finish line, coming out of turn 4.
A lot of damage to that Zaxby's Toyota for John West Townley. John West had a great car running up in the top 3 just about the entire event.
Running in the 3rd position when something obviously breaks on that race car, and a lot of damage to the front and right side of the 35.
I noticed it coming off of 4 there, just looking out over here. And we'll have to see the replay of what happens, but you know, we talked about him not running quite as fast on new tires, and I just wonder if you know, maybe they had a loose condition that was, you know, compounded by new tires, or maybe even tight. But obviously a lot of damage there for John West, and it's unfortunate, as good as they were running all day.
So the 4th caution has come out here at Kansas Speedway with just 28 laps of racing to go, and it was driver the 35 running in the 3rd spot, John West Townley. Take a look at the replay.
Looks like he
just
got a little bit high, maybe even higher than anybody has gone, just as we saw with Chad Boat earlier on lap number 2, and it got away from him.
You can get the lefts, or the right, excuse me, out of the groove, but if you get all 4 out, it definitely loses grip in a hurry. So looks as though that's the case.
Back in steps out on the 35 of John West Townley as he corrects it. He gets into the wall, bringing out caution 4.
The question is, do you pit now? Go to the end?
I come back to pit road and get another set of tires.
Absolutely.
You know, we're gonna. It'll take a little while to clean up the racetrack and get that car towed back in. So we're probably going to restart with somewhere over 20 laps, maybe 20 to 25. I think if I'm these guys, I'm going to come in and say, okay, this is going to be it. We want a good pit stop here, but we're going to go to the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you pit now, you can go all the way. And if it goes all the way under green, you have to imagine that there's going to be some guys that are going to have some tire issues as we go. The problem is tire issues cause caution. So you hope you're not the guy that has the tire issues if you decide to stay out right now.
Aaron's lucky dog goes to Nelson Canache in the 66, so he will once again get a lap back. That'll make it 15 cars on the lead lap. So we see John West Townley making the walk over to the ambulance. He'll go to the infield care center. Chris Buescher in the 17 on pit road.
Yeah, not everyone's going to do it. We just have a handful of cars coming down pit road. Chris Buescher leads the way.
I think for Chris, this is a good plan because obviously he knows that there's only going to be 14 cars on the lead lap. Go ahead and pit and get your service done, and then if it happens to go green all the way, you should be good to go.
Let's go to pit road and right.
Well, here's the situation, guys. They made a wedge adjustment on that BVEX race car the last time they came down pit road, and Chris Buescher said he did not like it. It was making it kind of squirrely in the center of the corner, so they're going to put 4 tires on it and gas. This gives them the option right now of staying out and having a shot at winning this race. They have got all their service done. Back to the racetrack for the guy who hopes to be champion in 2012.
And guys, they can also re-glue up those tires he just took off. If he feels like he has some sort of an issue later on, he can put those tires back on because they probably only have 6 or 8 green flag laps on them.
So a little pit strategy for our championship leader, Chris Buescher, on pit road to try to take care of that race car. Tomorrow, $1 million is up for grabs as the two-wheeled heroes dirt clash for cash in Las Vegas. With this much money on the line, it's guaranteed to be a fight like no other. Don't miss the Monster Energy Cup live from Las Vegas tomorrow, 10 Eastern, only on Speed. And it looks as though a little fluid was put down on the racetrack, so they are putting the Speed Zorb down and going to clean that up while we remain under this 4th caution. Again, John West Townley running in the 3rd spot, had led some laps, and now he is on his way into the infield care center. Out in front, though, it's that 09 of Grant Enfinger. Jim.
He's got a couple of 3rd-place finishes here, guys, and his crew chief is also the owner, Howard Bixman. I asked Howard, what'd you do on that stop to get the lead? He said, 2 tires. Grant told me before the race his car is really bad on the initial starts once he has fresh rubber on. So they took 2 tires to get the lead. He thinks longer runs will help the 09 Case 8 Motor 100 Ford. Now, the 22 of Alex Bowman has 1 more set of tires in the pits. Crew Chief Paul Andrews asked his driver, what is the car doing? He said, tight in, loose off, everywhere. So they decided to wait till the last possible moment here for their final set. Ray?
Well, Jim, the guys in the booth were wondering whether or not they might be able to reuse the set for the car number 17. Absolutely. And the crew members down here have poured about 35 bottles of water on the car's tires that just came off, and they're cooling them down. They'll get ready to glue those things back up. They want to get them as cool as possible so that if you put them back on, they're ready to go to the racetrack. These guys working hard on re-gluing up the set that just came off of Chris Buescher's race car.
You guys continue to say re-gluing. They're actually just going to glue the lug nuts on so that when they put it on there, they're not going to take the tires off physically and re-glue those on the wheels.
We saw during their cup practice Tony Stewart's bunch putting a bag of ice, a 20-pound bag of ice in the wheel to let that cool get throughout the tire to cool them off quicker.
It really is something that, the heat in these tires is what makes them go slower. It's not the wear, because we're really not wearing the tires this weekend.
Right.
It's the heat. So they know if they get those things cool again, it'll be just like putting a set of stickers on.
How about things heating up in the championship battle right now? 50 points separate our top 2. Buescher. Now remember, 50 points, 10 spots.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Chris Buescher cannot breathe easily because there's a lot of racing to go yet. 24 laps left here, and we still have roughly 30 cars on the racetrack.
And 14 on the lead lap. Out in front of the field, it's Grant Enfinger. Can Enfinger make it to victory lane tonight? Stay with us. Welcome back. Just 23 laps remain from Kansas Speedway in the Kansas Lottery 98.9. The final race of the 2012 season. A lot of final awards are going to be being spelled out now, as we've seen already. Alex Bowman win the lap leader award, the Aaron's lap leader award going to Alex Bowman. He's led 539 laps this season, and he's the only one to surpass the 500 lap mark on the 2012 year.
Yeah, great season for Alex Bowman. Started out with so much promise last year by winning his first 2 starts, and certainly hasn't disappointed this year. Great season.
I know that for them, leading 500 laps is going to be great, but obviously not being in the contention tonight to win the championship is going to be tough. And I know a lot of these guys were really looking at DeCoin last week to make up the rain out from before, to really try and bridge that gap on some of those points. And unfortunately, with that being canceled due to rain again, I know that really put a couple of guys in a hole that they were hoping they wouldn't be in to come this weekend. So obviously, Alex was one of those guys. He felt like they had been running strong here at the end of the races, and that's what it was going to take to win the championship, but just didn't get that opportunity.
Guys, we have some drivers doing a great job. Mason Mitchell only making his 4th start of the season, but his other 3 starts all top 10 finishes, 2 of them top 5s.
Yeah,
nice job.
Last 2 runs for Mason Mitchell were 5th place finishes, so very impressive for that young man.
And running in the 6th position now, so looking like as long as he can maintain, going to have another solid top 10 finish.
And there's Will Kimmel, Will with the Mallory Ignition sponsorship aboard that Ford for the family team, doing a nice job. Will knocking on the door of victory. Had a 2nd at Salem last year, and he's had some great finishes, top 5 finishes this year, including a 3rd at Daytona early on.
He's got a pretty good crew chief calling the shots for him, and Father Bill Kimmel turns the wrenches and has won a few championships with his brother, Frank Kimmel.
And Chris Wyndham also in the 32 car up in the top 10 for Wintron Motorsports, doing a nice job here. Chris is running right now in the 9th spot.
Good run for that 21-year-old. Let's hear from John West Townley. He's now with Jim.
He qualified 3rd, guys, took the lead running top 3. John West, what happened off of turn 4?
Oh, it just got really free. You know, I was complaining the run before about it being just really loose. For whatever reason, though, you know, we didn't tighten the car up, and you know, what happened. It's really unfortunate because, you know, it was going to be a really good day, I think, you know, for Zaxby's, and for me, I think we definitely had us a top 3 car. I mean, definitely had a shot for the win, but it's just really unfortunate. I hate to see it end like this.
And the Venturinis put together a really good piece. Glad to see you're okay, John West.
Thanks.
Let's check in with Ray.
Well, thank you, Jim. I'm down in pit stall number 1. This is Chris Buescher's pits, and we were talking about gluing up lug nuts. Check it out. Here's some lug nuts that were actually physically glued, guys. Now, what you do is you take your lug nut and you put this super bonding weather strip adhesive on. You just put it around the hole and you set your lug nut in. Now, over here, I could do the same thing. I could put that on if I wanted to, but there's a little simpler way. Check this out. They've got a new thing where all you've got to do is peel and stick. Maybe it's simple. You peel
I think
that,
it's sticky, right?
I know. But when you peel that all the way and you do it right, you stick that down in the hole and you're ready to go. And that way you don't have to wait for your weather stripping to set up and be ready to go back to the racetrack.
And it's too cold, so that's a very quick fix for those guys to be able to use those adhesive things. But, Ray, it takes 2 hands to take that paper off.
I know, but I had to hold my microphone.
I know it. We'll give you an assistant next race this year.
The only downside to those stickies that Ray was just showing, they're hard to get off, obviously. But when you go to put the tire on the studs,
right?
As you saw with him, you know, the glue was actually, or the decal or whatever it is that's in between there, the foam, it actually will pop off the lug nut. So when you go to hang that tire, especially with it being cold, that glue tends to set up a little bit better. Those stickies don't always work, so you better make sure that your tire guy has a couple of lug nuts stashed on his body somewhere. And
I mentioned earlier about the relationship between ARCA and Speed is going to continue. The announcement was made earlier in the media center today.
A very important announcement today for the Automobile Racing Club, and on behalf of ARCA and Fox Sports Media Group, pleased to announce today a multi-year extension of our network broadcast agreement with Fox. Fox has stepped up in a big way this week with some major announcements and being able to join in on the tail end of some major long-term announcements with an extension of ARCA's relationship with those people for a minimum of 2 years with a series of extensions, a minimum of 10 races a year live on the network, gives us more confidence again going forward and stability in the sport.
And again, over 15 years there's been a relationship between ARCA and Fox Media Group, so we're very happy that that is going to continue right here with Speed and Fox Media Group.
We got to watch this guy a bunch in the ARCA Racing Series,
sure did.
Right here on Speed.
Well, the good news is that hopefully we get to hear your guys' voice a lot more, and maybe I can join in a little bit too, come next year.
We always welcome you. You're definitely a welcome addition to the booth. Now, once again, we'll see if Grant Enfinger over the next 19 laps can hang on. 4 times he's finished second in the ARCA Racing Series. Can he finish it and get the win? Early on, Brennan Poole in 25 looks to the inside, trying to take the lead away when they go to 1.
Brennan wants that lead right away. Grant's going to fight back on the outside, keeping Brennan pinched down.
Side by side, coming out of turn number 2. Battling for the lead as they go down the backstretch. Poole on the inside, Enfinger on the outside. Enfinger making it work in that higher groove, and he will get in front of the 25 as they come out of turn number 4.
You know, guys, I think we ran enough caution laps that I'm feeling more comfortable that the guys that stayed out were going to be okay to the end.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, with 18 to go right now, you know, they've obviously got only a few laps of green on their tires. They're hungry. They're gonna push. So it could go either way. But I definitely think with all the rubber that's down now, the lack of problems that we've seen, everything's been kind of going down as the pit stops have happened. I think we're going to be okay.
What an amazing call. When Grant Enfinger was on pit road, they only took 2 tires, 2 right side tires. That ended up putting him out in front of the field, and he's trying to hang on to it now. Brennan Poole all over the back bumper once again, and here comes that 44, Frank Kimmel, getting into the mix now.
Yeah, and here comes that 22 of Alex Bowman, going to try to get underneath Frank Kimmel and just make his way up into the top 3.
That 22 has been strong all night. We've seen him pass cars. We've seen him lead out front. So definitely not what Grant's going to be wanting to see in his rearview mirror. But, you know, the 22 was one of the cars that did put on 4 tires. So we may start to be seeing the effects of fresh left sides over the course of this run.
Alex Bowman closing in on the back bumper of that 25 of Brennan Poole now. So Bowman has made it his way back up into the top 3. Grant Enfinger trying to hang on. Just 16 laps remaining in the 2012 season.
Alex Bowman was the fastest car on the racetrack that time. Brennan Poole second fastest, Grant Enfinger third fastest, and their third, second, first. How about the battle for the lead?
Here they go, side by side. Look at Bowman all the way down on the apron. 3 wide as they cross the stripe. Poole trying to take the top spot away. They both go by that 09 of Enfinger, and now Bowman is out in front of this field.
What a strong power move by Alex Bowman. He saw the opportunity. Those guys were side by side, punching a pretty big hole in the air, and he took advantage and made it 3 wide.
Anytime you're 2 wide and you're out there and you're dragging each other down, which is helping the guy behind you, but also, like you said, it's creating a huge hole in the air. Great drafting spot for Alex, and what a way to get up there. We got a caution out, though.
Caution comes out once again. Problem on the back stretch.
Chris Windom, we were just talking about how great of a job he's done, and wow, that left rear tire is still going.
I was going to say, it's no longer on the race car.
Look at, like, it broke it off the rear end housing. You can see the dust cap still in the center of that wheel.
And so the wheel about to come to a stop.
Look at the
battery's coming out.
The battery, the brake caliper still there. They've definitely had something major happen right here.
Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe they broke a hub or something like that, and it just came off the rear end. And man, what damage to that Wintron car.
Chris was running in the 11th spot when the left rear came off of that race car.
Only his second start of the year. He ran the first race this year at Daytona, finished 8th. Only his second start, but had a good run going. But man, it's going to end badly.
His best finish came a year ago at Springfield, where he was able to finish 3rd. Very talented young driver.
Absolutely, he's really good in the open wheel ranks and has done a great job every time he's gotten into the ARCA Racing Series. And shame for those guys. I know that you know, all the guys at Wintron Racing have been working really hard, and you know, they're the tried and true, like most of the guys that run this series. You know, they're there every week and you know, putting great race cars out there. So shame that their night's going to end early.
And so when this brought out the 5th caution, we had an amazing battle for the lead. Alex Bowman, Brennan Poole, and Grant Enfinger all fighting for the spot, but this is why the caution came out.
Oh my.
Wow. You saw that tire come off. Tire bouncing down the racetrack.
Is that the 99 that got together
Brandon
with him
Davis maybe with a 99. That was a white car, certainly. Gonna be another view. Chris is going to get loose up here. May have already had an issue. I think that was Brandon Davis in the 99 car.
it doesn't take much, you know, to get, if you come across in front of somebody, there's really not a whole lot you can do to miss them. And unfortunately, Brandon was in the right place at the wrong time and went up over the left rear quarter panel there. They got some pretty significant damage, it looks like.
Yeah, Brandon was just outside of the top 10. He was doing a nice job, still on the lead lap. Good possibility at a top 10 finish. And there's Chris Windom getting into the ambulance.
Let's go back trackside to Ray Dunlap.
Well, your dad gave us the information this week that this is your last time on the pit box calling the shots. How good would it be to get a win tonight?
What would be a better way to end this? I mean, at least a crew chief and part of it. And I love doing it. It just, I think, to make the team better and really be able to turn the corner as we want as a program, I felt like just being in the competition director and general manager would probably serve the whole team. But, man, would it be nice to have the last race be a win, especially since we won this race last year.
You got tires sitting here in the pit. You could have come in, decided not to. What was the call?
Track position be too hard to give up now, and now with the way we just got this caution and the next one, this should be cycled where the tires should be fine. I really don't think we'll have an issue now.
Okay, Paul Andrews is standing by with Jim. Let's hear from them next.
And he calls the shots for Alex Bowman. You just saw a front row seat of that 3-wide pass. What do you think of your young driver's move to get the lead there, Paul?
That was pretty spectacular. You know, the 09 and 25 both kind of got a little, you know, they were kind of battling, and we had a good opening, and he took it, and I was pretty impressed. That was awesome.
Your driver's giving you feedback, but you had caught a big break with that left rear tire going down. How important was it to come on pit road when you did?
Absolutely. You know, the tires are, with the new pavements this year, we've struggled a little bit with tires in general. And, you know, the safe thing to do is come in and change tires. And, you know, that's a big break for sure. I'd hate to be running while that was happening.
Alex Bowman's got a fast race car and a champion crew chief on the box, going for win number 4 here in 2012.
And that would lock up the Rookie of the Year battle that Alex Bowman is fighting for right now with Brennan Poole.
Yeah, close battle coming into here.
Another look at what just took place. Again, Windom in the 32 comes down on that 99 and airborne.
I think that hub broke because it didn't look like he was sideways or anything. I think all of a sudden you see that thing turn hard left. I believe that hub broke, and as soon as they made contact, then the left rear tire flies off.
Yeah, I mean, for a car to snap left like that, something obviously had to come apart, and for the left rear tire to come off that easily. You know, one of the things is you know, there's a lot of working parts in there in those hubs, and the grease, you know, anymore with these hubs, they're down to a science. You know, they put the grease in with a syringe because they're measuring it in cc's, and you know, any little bit of debris that gets in there can cause one of those things to get hot, come apart. You see the smoke obviously there. Come apart and get, you know, same thing what happens, you see a car rolling down the interstate or a semi-trailer that's got a wheel hanging off of it,
right,
and the hub's still there, or the axle's still there. At 200 miles an hour, it doesn't take long for something to get too hot.
Not at all. So they continue to clean up the mess caused by the 32. How about the 17? Just 10 laps away from potentially the championship for that 19-year-old. Welcome back. Nelson Canache in the 66 has brought his race car to the attention of his crew. And Jim, seems like a pretty amazing incident taking place with this car.
He was the third car involved in that crash because the tire that came off the 32 of Windom went right to the firewall at the windshield right in front of the driver of Canache. They're trying to tape it down. Their biggest concern now is the throttle linkage going from the pedal in between the firewall and the engine. They're saying that may be bent. They're going to try to reach in and fix that. Their worry is about the cowling here, but the windshield is cracked on Canache's Venezuela number 66. They'll try to make it back out. Again, they're 8th in points, trying to get a good run and finish to the 2012 season.
You know, thank goodness that we're required to run a 1/4-inch Lexan front windshield, because obviously if that had been a glass windshield, it's
and the braces as well on those windshields.
Yes.
Take another look at what took place. This is what brought out our caution. 32 of Chris Windom.
There goes the tire, and watch it land.
It's going to land
right on his windshield. Man, oh man.
As a driver, you know, obviously you see the crash, so you're looking at the cars in front of you wrecking. You're trying to figure out where you're going to go. The last thing you're expecting is for a tire to fall out of the sky and hit you right in front of you.
Tire and wheel.
Tire and wheel, right in front of you on the cowl. That's not fun.
And the front wheels and suspensions are tethered to the frame, but not on the rear. So rare that we see somebody lose something like that on the rear.
The rear axles are virtually bulletproof, and very rarely do you see a problem like you said. So I'm sure that I'm sure that, you know, he wasn't expecting it, nor was Chris or anybody else that was involved.
We talked about different awards coming to a close here in the 2012 season. How about the Team Messina Rookie Spotlight Award? And right now it's a two-man race. Alex Bowman, Brennan Poole, 4 points separate Bowman and Poole as they run on the racetrack. And of course, Alex Bowman out in front, his fate in his own hands. All he has to do is go out and win the race. Well, all he has to do right behind him is the guy second in points for that rookie battle, Brennan Poole.
You think that he's thinking about that? Brennan sitting there looking at him, Alex looking in the mirror, looking back. That's interesting.
Very good battle continuing, not only for a championship but the Rookie Messina Award. Stay with us. Green flag next. Green flag going back in the air. 6 laps of racing to go in the 2012 season. Alex Bowman out in front of Brennan Poole. Those two racing for Rookie of the Year. Behind him, Frank Kimmel trying to put as much distance between himself and Chris Buescher for the championship.
He just lost a spot to the 55 curb car of Kevin Swindell.
Chris Buescher, 6 laps away, less than 6 laps away from a championship in the ARCA Racing Series.
How about Grant Enfinger going for second on Brennan Poole?
Enfinger in the 09, making the move to the inside of Poole. Swindell, we saw him in the 55 go all the way down to the apron, trying to get by the 44, which he's in front of, but making the move on the guys in front of him for second.
I think he has designs of maybe going after those two guys racing for second right now.
It's exactly how we saw Alex Bowman take the lead just earlier. Two guys were racing side by side, and he was able to drive to the inside.
Brennan Poole sideways over there.
Way up the racetrack, and now starting to get bunched up behind our race leader, battling for position. This is for second. Enfinger has it. Swindell moving up into third. Poole drops back to fourth.
Brennan Newberry jumps to the inside of Frank Kimmel in a battle for position.
Kimmel trying to finish this 2012 season on a high note. So close to a championship, his 10th championship. But it looks as though Buescher, if he can hold on, will grab his first ever title in the ARCA Racing Series.
Yeah, it looks like Frank Kimmel's car is fading here right towards the end of this race. He may be feeling something that he doesn't want to take a chance with.
Well, you know that these guys are giving it everything they've got. And if he's not handling exactly the way that he wants to, this is going to be the toughest three laps that, that he's going to run. You see some of these other guys that they're making moves. I mean, Kevin Swindell's done a great job of driving his way up through there, getting up to the third position. Obviously, he's still got hopes to be able to pass Grant there for second. Alex Bowman's done a great job of getting out and away, though, from these guys and putting himself kind of in an untouchable spot if there's no more cautions.
2.1 seconds separate Alex Bowman from Grant Enfinger. Less than 2 laps of racing to go to cap off the 2012 season. The battle for second continues. Enfinger trying to hold off Swindell. Swindell looking.
Drifts up the racetrack just a little bit. It opens up the bottom for Kevin.
Swindell moving to the inside, tries to take second away, back down on the apron. White flag in the air. One more time around Kansas Speedway. Swindell takes second away. Now moving to the outside, trying to get that spot back. Enfinger, but there won't be enough time. Swindell has second. Out in front of the field, though, capping off an amazing 2012, coming out of turn number 4. Alex Bowman is going to win the final race of the year in the ARCA Racing Series here at Kansas Speedway. And that will cap off a championship season for Alex Bowman, your champion in 2012. Chris Buescher. Buescher, your champion, excuse me. The 17, I got excited about Alex Bowman and an amazing run by him. But it's Chris Buescher who will be your 2012 ARCA Racing Series champion, the youngest ever in this series.
At 19 years old. Does not turn 20 till the end of the month. Very happy 17 bunch down there.
This is one of those situations where you'll have 2 teams celebrate. Alex Bowman, an amazing run today. Definitely had the class of the field car, was able to get back up front after losing that top spot, wins the race in dominant fashion. but Chris Buescher did everything they had to do to win this championship tonight.
Yeah, great job by the Rulo brothers all year long, and Chris Buescher and Kerry Shearer's bunch and Briggs Cunningham right here in Cunningham Motorsports for Alex Bowman. What terrific seasons both of them had.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, they're going to both look back, and obviously Chris Buescher probably would have liked to finish better than 8th tonight, but they've done a great job all year of being there every week. And Alex is going to look back and say, hey, we won a lot of races. We got a lot of poles. But unfortunately, we just didn't have enough points when it came to the time to the end of the season.
And how about the celebration for the Rulo brothers, grabbing their first ever championship in the ARCA Racing Series after being here for so many years. And it came at the hands of Chris Buescher. We'll hear from the winners tonight. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is brought to you by Messina Wildlife Management. Stop animal damage with Messina Wildlife Management. And by Aaron's. You don't need credit. All you need is Aaron's. Into victory lane, the winner of the 19th race of the 2012 season. And celebrating in a dominant fashion, Alex Bowman in victory lane. He's down there with Jim.
What an impressive run. A 3-wide pass for the lead right in front of the grandstands. Talk about this win and this season, Alex. What a great job.
Man, it's good to finally get one. It's been a while. Just got to thank everybody at Cunningham Motorsports, Paul Andrews. Cool to have St. Jude's on board, Penske Engines, Kerry Shearer, Briggs Cunningham. Just without those guys, I wouldn't have made it through the season. So it was really, really cool. The race car was perfect. Motor guys didn't want a big burnout, and I wanted to do a backwards lap for Paul. It's something he's got history with, so it's really cool to get to do that for him and to close out the year, get a win for them on an intermediate track. It's been a while.
With his driver, Alan Quickie, you now are officially the Team Messina Rookie Challenge winner. Congrats on that effort.
Yeah, that's a cool thing to win. We really felt like we had a shot at the championship, and we just had so much bad luck this year. So stuff happens, but hopefully get something lined up for next year. And everybody back home, follow me on Twitter at AlexB Racing and check me out on Facebook. And if you know anybody that needs to sponsor a race car, we're looking.
He indeed is worthy of the win here today, guys. He dominated in quick fashion, and Ray, you've got a driver that really made it exciting at the finish.
Wow, what a run for Kevin Swindell right there at the end. You had a very fast race car. Were you holding back at all, or were you giving it all you had?
Yeah, I mean, the first part we were a little worried about what the tire game, was kind of going to be, and with them coming apart of Michigan on the new surface, and just, trying to make sure we were there at the end. And we knew we had a good piece once the fuel ran off and got going, and just tried to make sure we were there at the end. And we kind of got ourselves a little more buried than we wanted to be, but it turned out all right.
Great run at the end. Kevin Swindell comes home second in the Curb Records race car.
Very impressive run for Swindell. Infinger, he comes home third. He's got 4 second-place finishes. A really good pit call for them, just doing the right-side tires, able to get him out front. Led laps, but not able to end it up in victory lane. He finishes in third. Take a look at your unofficial point standings. Buescher wins the championship by 75 points over Frank Kimmel.
Yeah, Alex Bowman came within 10 points of Brendan Poole, trying to take that third spot away, but can't say enough for what a great season here in the 60th year of the ARCA Racing Series, and what a great point battle we had right down to the end.
A championship run for Chris Buescher and a very impressive finish for, as we mentioned, Grant Infinger in third. He's standing by with Ray.
He started back in 11th, comes home third. Good run tonight, Grant. Tell me about your night and the strategy and how it all played out. Was it what you expected?
To a certain extent, it was. We definitely wanted to be in victory lane right now. We've worked so hard and come so close. But still a great run for us. I feel like, once we got going, we were, about a 5th place car, and just couldn't get anywhere with the dirty air. So Howard Bixman made the call to take 2 tires there, and we did, and got some track position. Just couldn't hold them off quite long enough. But definitely hats off to everybody, and appreciate K-Site, Motor Honey, everybody at BCR for making this possible. Just came up a little short, but still a strong run, and for the effort that we have, that's something to be proud of.
What's next the rest of the year?
Running with Allgaier Motorsports next week at Martinsville in the truck, and then who knows, probably the Snowball Derby.
All right, good luck to you. Great run for Grant Enfinger. He brings the 09 home in third tonight here in Kansas.
And that shot you saw of the 09 and the 25 crossing the finish line, they were separated by 3/1000ths of a second. for that third spot. But the champion waiting for his spoils coming up next. Welcome back to Kansas Speedway. We talked about a 19-year-old winning a championship. How about the team owners, the Rulo brothers, winning their first championship? And we just saw shots of like Ken Schrader driving for the Rulo brothers.
Yeah, Bob Strait. There's Chris Buescher and a couple of his wins here with the Rulo brothers. There's another shot of Kenny Schrader on the dirt at Hagerstown. There's another shot of Kenny Schrader. A lot of races.
A lot of times they've been to victory lane. This is the first time, though, their car will pull into victory lane for a championship. The Aaron's championship moment. The Rulo brothers and Chris Buescher driving that 17. Now with the champion, we go down to Jim Trado.
Removing the steering wheel, still shaking his head. It is indeed a 19-year-old winning the ARCA Racing Series Championship presented by Menards. And indeed, he's letting it soak in just a bit. He was on pit road for 2 or 3 minutes. And now he's going to climb from this race car. The first championship for the Rulo brothers, who have 31 career victories in this series, over 4 decades with all these cool drivers. And Chris Buescher is about to climb out and indeed celebrate with his Rulo brothers team as a champion here in 2012. You thought it was cold before. Chris, get in here. We got to give you your time to thank, folks, Chris. He is very much part of this crew. He's in the shop as often as anyone else. He talked to me before the race about how much work went into this race car. Chris, what are your thoughts right now as an ARCA champion?
Oh, that's just absolutely amazing. It's just, man, there's just so much hard work goes into this thing and worked so hard at it. And, man, that's not the ideal way to race right there at the end, but man, we're just we're watching tires here. It's so much fun. I mean, we've had so much help throughout this whole year and worked so hard for this. I mean, just real proud to get Ford back here. We did a nice job. Rulo brothers, I mean, kept at this thing all year. Help from Roush Fenway. You know, we got Reliance Tool and BVEX and David Reagan Ford back on the car for this last one. So glad we wrapped it up for them.
Let's take care of some business here. ARCA President Ron Drager about to hand you the Champions Trophy. Ron?
Chris, Gary, Russ Rulo, on the 60th anniversary of ARCA, we congratulate you as the champions. Congratulations.
Gary Rulo is here, his brother Rusty, Gary's son David. Indeed, been a long time coming. Trophy in hand. There we go. At 13 years of age, he moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and stayed with the Reagan family, David Reagan's dad. Then he spent countless hours going up and down the highway from Charlotte to Chicago at age 15 to become part of this team. How does that sink in as what you've done to accomplish this championship, Chris?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, you know, it's a lot of personal time, a lot of man hours, and just this is what really makes it worth it. I mean, I've been working for a moment like this since I was 10 years old. So to finally get here, it's absolutely awesome. You know, congrats to Bowman there. I know he got us in the overall wins there due to a tiebreaker, but you know, we still gave it a good shot, and we got the one that counts here.
Every lap completed, guys. 17 top 10 finishes in 19 races. Chris Buescher's your champion for 2012.
I don't think you can talk enough about every lap completed by this team.
And you talked about the diversity of this situation. Road courses, dirt track races, short tracks, super speedways, intermediate tracks, all sorts of different venues, and they run every single lap.
That's an amazing feat, and obviously that's what they needed to get him up there and to be able to be the champions. And I know that that's a great feeling. I mean, to be able to stand there and hoist that trophy, especially with family and all the friends they got down there, and the Rulo brothers, to be here for as many years as they have, they've obviously made a lot of friends along the way. So to be able to celebrate that, it's a great day.
For just the second time in the ARCA Racing Series championships, he becomes just the second driver to be Rookie of the Year before and win the championship. Joins Bill Baird in that very elite class.
Yeah, my brother Benny was an ARCA Rookie of the Year in 1965 and came back and won the championship in 1968 and 1969. Was not consecutive years, right, but he got both titles.
So the celebration will continue. We talked a little bit ago about being young. How about back-to-back champions, both being 19. Ty Dillon won the championship a year ago at 19, and now Chris Buescher wins the championship in his 19th year.
What a great 60 this season here for the ARCA Racing Series.
Want to congratulate Alex Bowman, winning the race here at Kansas Speedway to end up the 2012 season, and Rouleau Brothers, and of course Chris Buescher, your 2012 champion, the ARCA Racing Series.